actually discussing this very thing about gratitude, and they actually scientifically proved that they took a whole study that they did on the brain about gratitude and how the neuroplasticity of the brain changes when you are grateful. The opposite is true as well, right? If you are negative all the time and that becomes a habit, you can literally make yourself sick, not only mentally, but even in your body.
Believe that nothing's impossible. Focus on building a relationship with God and just keep doing the right thing in front of you. Only time you lose is when you quit. If you keep striving for what your life purpose is and you get knocked down and you keep getting back up, you haven't lost. You might have got delayed, you might have got banged up, but you're still in the game. The only time you lose is when you finally say, yeah, I quit, and it's gone.
Welcome to Empower TV, where we leave a legacy of hope through conversations that uplift, educate, and inspire. Listen to incredible stories of people who overcame challenges and barriers, celebrate victories, learn from setbacks, and push forward together.
And you would hear all this torture, and then they would shoot.
Want to be empowered? Let's go. Subscribe for more and get this book now.
Hello and welcome to Empower TV. My name is Lorna Greyling. Today we're talking to an NCIS agent. He's also the author of an award-winning book called Touche, an inspirational story and a spiritual guide to success. Todd, welcome to the show and thank you so much for joining us today.
Thank you for having me. I'm glad to be here.
Absolutely. So, first of all, I have your book here, Touche, and we're going to talk about it now. Congratulations on winning this award. I mean, this is absolutely phenomenal.
Thank you. It was really exciting. It
Yeah,
really makes a difference when you've won an award and somebody else has read it and it's like, yeah, we think it's good too. Of course, when you're interested in your own work, you think it's good, but when you get that honest feedback that yes, it is good, it just gives you a different level of validation.
totally. Absolute. And it is. I mean, I got your book and I read it. I finished the whole book on the plane back. So it is really beautiful. So I'm going to start with, you're an NCIS agent. So for me, to be talking to an NCIS agent is pretty cool. So I'm going to start there. I've been watching NCIS. It's my favorite TV show. Literally, I was watching it last night and I was like, I cannot believe I'm going to be interviewing you today. So it's so epic. So, how did you get into this career? Let's start there.
So as it goes back to the beginning of the book, Touche, it goes how I figured out at 10 years old that I wanted to be a federal agent. And getting to Notre Dame was just a part of that. So since then, I've wrote the sequel book, On Guard, which actually is being released today, which covers the journey from Notre Dame to actually become an NCIS agent. So law enforcement was super hard to get into when I was younger, getting out of college. Even for state police where I was hired, they had 3,000 applicants and only hired 50. And I think it started at 19,000 a year. So it was not very good pay, a lot of competition, very hard to break into. And it led me down the journey to law enforcement. And then I got out of it, which is discussed in On Guard, and knew that I had to get back to my love of law enforcement. And the Navy hired me in Virginia on a SEAL base to be a federal police officer there. And I got promoted and transferred to Navy CID, which does all the misdemeanor level type crimes on the base. And I worked with NCIS quite a bit and then got recruited by NCIS from there, where we do all the felony level investigations pertaining to the Navy.
Yeah. So, what we see on TV is obviously made for entertainment, right?
It's been a couple weeks since I dove from a car right before it blew up. No, I'm just kidding. But my boss does expect that case to be done within an hour, it seems like.
Right? So a typical day in the life of an NCIS agent, right? your stress levels and everything, I'm sure, is not quite the same as a general career. And I, share with us a little bit, what you're allowed to. Like, what does a day in the life of an NCIS agent look like?
So every day is different. So, like I said, we investigate all felony level investigations. We also do cybersecurity, fraud investigations, forensic sciences. We also have counterintelligence people. So we cover, and also protective details. We do a wide spectrum of jobs. The only nexus is that it has to be involved the Navy. So when we go out, you might be on a protective detail for a dignitary one day. You're doing helping with a death investigation the next day. You might be working a sex assault the next day, and then everybody has collateral duties. Like I'm a firearms instructor. I'm a recruiter where I go to universities and recruit candidates to become agents. And then I coordinate all the command level investigators to keep that liaison relationship open.
Hmm.
So every day is different, and you never know what you're going to get. You can go in with this plan of, oh, I'm going to work on this today, and one phone call and everything changes. So you have to just adapt and roll with whatever's given your way.
Yeah. I mean, you see a much different side to life than the general population, right? How do you stay positive? I mean, if I look at just the general life and I hear how people talk, and even they struggle to stay positive, right? How do you stay positive? How do you keep it together?
I have to do a fairly strict regimen, and I cover a lot of this in the book On Guard, because I've run into that problems before where you run out of balance. Yeah, it seems like the whole world's falling on you. You go through a traumatic loss. Um, Bad things happen. Sometimes it's just life that happens. And to stay positive in that is to keep that relationship with God open. So every morning I have to do my morning prayers and meditations so that I can get my day off to a good start. And I have a commute to work. So I do it on my commute to work. So sometimes somebody's pulling out in front of you, traffic's bad, it's real quick that you can become negative. So it's like I tell myself, for every negative thing that I say about somebody that's driving around me, I have to say 3 positive things and then pray that they have a good day, or else I'll hold on to that and it'll just snowball. So that kind of gets me geared up to show up to work with a positive attitude. The other side of it is um, being grateful. Going through so many trials and tribulations and getting knocked down by life so hard, it gives you a different appreciation of what you have. When nothing's been given and everything's been taken away numerous times, when you finally get to where you need to be, um, it's good to be grateful.
Yeah.
And it helps keep the resentments away. That can be dangerous too.
Totally. It's so amazing. I was at a conference this weekend and they were actually discussing this very thing about gratitude, right? And they actually scientifically proved that they took a whole study that they did on the brain about gratitude and how the neuroplasticity of the brain changes when you are grateful, and what happens in your brain. And it was phenomenal to see how it actually impacts the brain in a healthy way, and how you can literally train the brain, by being grateful, to become more healthy, happy. It was just phenomenal how they scientifically proved this and showed this. It was very, very interesting. So yeah, that is
That's fascinating because I've seen it work in my life. I've seen it work in other people's lives where when they make that gratitude a habit, they can get through some pretty tough stuff. But it's interesting when science can back up
They backed it up with science. They actually showed the science. And it was powerful. And obviously, the opposite is true as well, right? If you are negative all the time and that becomes a habit, you can literally make yourself sick. You can physically become sick, not only mentally, but even in your body, because your mind is the most powerful thing, right? So your mind can literally make your body sick if you constantly focus on negative things and if you are ungrateful on a consistent basis. So I mean, it was very, very interesting. And it can literally be as simple as starting a habit of gratitude. Yeah, it was super interesting, and we don't actually realize how something so simple can change your life and make you more grateful. So yeah, it was very
Exactly.
powerful. Wow. So touche, right? Why did you write this book?
So a couple of years ago, I was away at training for extended time, and I thought I'd do something nice for my wife. Going to Yellowstone was on her bucket list. So I planned this road trip going to Yellowstone through North Dakota and Montana to get there, and then ending up at the Grand Tetons and coming back through Wyoming and South Dakota, and saw all the sights on the way. So it was a fabulous road trip. And of course, you've got a lot of time on a road trip. She started asking me, how did you get to Notre Dame, especially with such a bizarre sport like fencing?
Yeah.
And as I told her the story, she's a school teacher. She's like, oh my God, you're writing a book. And I'm like, why? Why would I write a book? She says, kids do not have these goal setting skills that you're talking about. You figured out all this out on your own. You need to share this because there's students that can use this information to start planning their lives. And I'm like, okay, that sounds cool. Then I got thinking about it, and I kind of cover it in On Guard, the sequel book, where I got off track in life. And I ended up working as a carpenter during the day and bartending at night. And it's like, this isn't my career path. I need to get back, where I belong and on my life purpose. How do I get there? And it's like, oh, I already have the same skills that I used in Touche. I'll use those same skills, and that's how I became an NCIS investigator, working those same type system. So I figured it would work for adults too. So it works for adults, it works for people that are stuck, and it definitely works for students. And I've had good feedback doing presentations at high schools and elementary schools. It's been received well. So that's where I started writing the book. So she took from the trip, she spent all this time taking notes the whole time. So when we got back, I had to take pages and pages of notes and then try to come up with an outline. And that's by far the hardest part of writing a book is the outline.
Yeah.
Once you get it planned and you get the outline, it seems like the actual writing part is just fluid and moves right along. But it took me several months to get the outline. And then I started writing it, and they always tell you only one or two books out of 100 get accepted by a publisher if it's unsolicited. So I'm not going to let the statistics, keep me down. I submitted it to 12 publishers and two wanted to pick it up. So I was very fortunate. Um, and that's how it became a book.
That's wonderful. But it's the same principle that you were talking about in the book, actually, right? Is
Correct.
to
I
have
used the principles in the book to get the book published.
get the book published. I know. So I mean, share a little bit about your story of Notre Dame, because I mean that's so powerful, and I would like you to share the story about the spoon as well.
What a cool name, right? Medicare Sharks. If you have ever turned a certain age, or if you have anybody in the family who has turned a certain age, you will know that Medicare, the phone starts ringing, and on the other side, there's a certain amount of sharks. Right? But this particular company, I mean, I just love their name, Medicare Sharks, are everything but sharks. They are a family-owned, phenomenal company who really care, and you can trust them. You can call them. You can avoid the sharks by going to them. They are just phenomenal. They are there to help. So have a look and check out their website. It is in the link below. They are all over the nation, really. They can help you in almost every state. So go and have a look on their website. There's a lot of changes coming up in 2026. If you just need some advice, give them a call, because they're always there to go and help you and check you out. They have tons of personal testimonies online as well. Some of my friends have used them, and they cannot speak enough good of this company. And I think the fact that they've been in the business for so long, and it's a family owned business, it's just been turned from generation to generation. So go and check them out. If you have anybody that you know that is going into Medicare or who needs advice about Medicare, please give them a call, get some advice, avoid the other sharks, and go and have a look and call Medicare sharks.
And
Oh, yes. Because somebody asked me yesterday at work, I forget what the topic was, but they says, what is your life mantra?
yeah.
Like, what if one thing that would like you really cling on to? And I said, nothing's impossible.
Amen.
You have to start with the premise that nothing's impossible, because the minute you tell yourself it's not possible, it's not going to be possible. So that story that you're referring to with the spoon is my grandfather started a tavern in Michigan back in the 60s. And my father ended up taking it over. And I would go there as a young child, help on weekends, clean the parking lot, stock the coolers. And I'd get a couple bucks for it to help. So it started, instilled the hard work type stuff. And I would sit there and watch TV. And this magician on TV took a spoon and just started rubbing it, and it bent. And he's like, you've got to focus your mind on it. And I don't know if he was doing it for real, if it was a magic trick. I don't remember that. I just remember him doing it and me telling myself, I can do that. So I grabbed a spoon and did it. And I was able to do it every time. And then somebody, like a couple months later, somebody says, you can't do that. That's impossible. And I was never able to do it since.
Mm.
So it flipped that switch. And I think children have some sort of innate nature to tap into something that as adults we lose because they believe nothing's impossible. And adults are more cynical, and I think it handicaps them.
Yeah, totally right. So it was possible while you believed it. You could bend a spoon as a child, and
Right.
the adult told you that's impossible. You cannot do it, and then it stopped. So powerful, right? It's that faith, that childlike faith that Jesus.
Exactly.
Yeah, I love it. So why were you so obsessed about Notre Dame? I mean, as a child, it was a dream for you to go to the Notre Dame, right? Yeah, tell us about that dream and how that realized for you.
So we lived so close to Notre Dame, I could actually ride my bike there.
Yeah.
So my grandfather was a huge Notre Dame fan. All my family were huge Notre Dame fans. I don't think my grandfather missed a Notre Dame home game in like 40 years. So you just grow up in that environment. It's part of your life. And it is an electric place. Even now, when you go to a home game and you go to all the stuff that happens before and you start walking around the campus, and not only is it a gorgeous campus, but the excitement, the electricity in the air. When you go to the game, you've got touchdown Jesus, you've got all the things that make Notre Dame Notre Dame. It is special. It's very different than other universities I've been on. So I wanted to be a part of that. And as a young child, I didn't understand how. I didn't know what my plan was until I started coming up with that plan that, yeah, I want a fence. And that's what got me into Notre Dame was the fencing.
Yeah. You had a couple of miracles happen as well. Do you want to touch on that?
So yeah, there's numerous ones in there. So it seems like a lot of the book is troubleshooting. You plan, you come up with a plan, something goes wrong, how are you going to get around the obstacle and deal with it to keep on that path?
Mhm.
And when you're successful, it seems like it brings new problems. So here I wanted to learn how to
Okay,
fence.
right.
Here I wanted to learn how to fence, and fencing's not popular. It was hard to eat it, and we didn't have the internet. So you're going to the library, you're reading library books, you're studying articles, you're phone calling, you're going through the yellow pages, you're trying to get people to give you phone numbers to other places. I mean, it's serious detective work trying to find this stuff.
Already then you were doing detective work without even knowing.
Exactly. And I still use those same skills now when I have to figure something out.
You were born for this. I love it.
So I finally came up to the conclusion Notre Dame's got a fencing team. If I can get a hold of their coach, maybe he can tell me where there's a club where I can take lessons.
Yeah.
So, and I would call, and they would never call me back. Well, finally, one day he picked up the phone, like, what do you want? And I'm like, well, I'd like to take fencing lessons. Would you know where I could find some? He said, practice is at 4 o'clock to Monday. Show up and we'll see what you got. He naturally assumed I went to school there, and they were doing their starting their season. So they were doing all the warm ups and getting in shape part of it before we actually got into the fencing aspect of it. So I showed up Monday. I was only in middle school, and I worked out with them, and we ran and we did, all sorts of stuff. They showed me how to do the exercises and the footwork and everything else. And then a few weeks later, they're like, "You don't go to school here, do you?" And I'm like, "No, where do you go?" And they're like, "You're in middle school?" I was tall and lanky for my age, so I kind of fit in. And they're like, "Well, we got to talk to coach." So I got to meet coach face to face, and I didn't know what to expect. I figured, yeah, go home, kid. You're lost, right? And instead, he's like, "We're like really impressed with your dedication and your determination. We're going to keep you on." And
Wow.
they did. And I trained with the team, throughout that time. And he was a fantastic mentor. And that kind of comes up to the second miracle where I got accepted into Notre Dame. And it's like, how are we going to pay for this? I couldn't afford it. My parents couldn't afford it. And I always wanted to be part of the military. And one of the captains of the fencing team was in Navy ROTC. So I made an appointment with the Navy and to interview to get an ROT scholarship. And the interview didn't go well. It was a poor interview. He just obviously was not interested in anything I had to offer. And I had to keep staying positive and trying to sell myself and be professional. And it ended rather shortly with like, yeah, I don't think this is a good fit for you. So I walk out of his office and I'm like, now what do I do? How am I going to pay for the school? This was my plan and it didn't work out. And I look up and there's Army ROTC office right there. So I walked right in. I'm like, is the colonel available? And they're like, sure. They invited me right in. I gave them my story and they're like, here, sign here and never look back.
Amazing. It's just amazing how God provides, right? As you think one door is closing, just walk right into the next one.
I literally walked down the hall into another door and it changed my whole life.
Yeah, your whole book is full of these, um, like you say, I mean, you've got this dream and this goal, and then it doesn't work out, but because you're not giving up, because you're focused on where you want to go, it's like, life takes you there because you're not focused on the problem. It's like you're focused on where you want to be. And to me, that's kind of what I got from your book is, don't be focused on what's going wrong, but keep your focus on where you want to go, and then life will take you there. But that's what I got from it. But what is it that you wanted to leave with the reader, from writing this book?
So when you get to the ripe age of around 25, or so. Okay, let's make it 30. Okay, I'm lying. So when you get to my age, it becomes really hard to buy gifts for other women, particularly. And that is why today I would like to introduce you to this fabulous brand. It is called Otter Spirit. Go and check them out. What a phenomenal company. I got myself these beautiful bracelets. It is incredible quality. It is made from earth stones, and I was born in August, so I got myself the Leo Strength Pack. So you can go and have a look at when your friend is born, have a look at her birth month, and get her something that is meaningful. They also give their proceeds to nature preservation, especially otters. I mean, they are super cute. Who does not want to save otters? And if you use my code underneath, you can get 20% off and up to 30% off on over $100 purchases. And if you enter on their website, just put in your email, you can win over $200 worth of jewelry. So go and check them out. Otter Spirit, what a beautiful company. And it comes in a really beautiful velvet bag. It is super luxurious. What a great time of the year to give a gift. It is Thanksgiving, Christmas is on its way. So yeah, go and check them out, Otter Spirit.
So the sequel book, On Guard, the subtitle is Crossing the Stream of Life. And that comes from a metaphor that Coach DeChico would always use with me when I'd come up to one of these obstacles. How am I going to get through this? And he said, listen, life is like crossing a stream. There's some slippery stones that you have to walk across to get to the other side, or you're going to fall in. He said, you're so focused on the getting to the other side, you're not focused on what you need to do in front of you. He said, you need to get on that first stone, focus that you're there, make sure you have good footing, study where the next stone is you want to go to, plan on how you're going to go there without slipping in, get to that one, and keep reassessing until you get there. And you might have to detour it, but you're going to get across that stream. So that's why I subtitled the second book that, but that's a huge theme throughout the Touche is you got to take care of what's right in front of you.
Baby steps, right? Just the small steps. I love that. Yeah. Yeah, I think that's in today's life for kids, sometimes we all get told dream big, right? Dream big. And then, but it's in the small things and in the diligence, that the big dreams come true. And that's not always what we want to hear is stay diligent in the small things, because when you look back, it's like, oh my goodness, look what I accomplished by staying diligent in the small things. So yeah, that's also so powerful. So something that I really loved and that I just want to honor you and especially your wife, when I met you at the award ceremony with the book, I just loved this beautiful relationship that you have with your wife. It is something that just stood out for me so beautifully, to see this marriage and this partnership that you have. So I want to kind of touch on that. Like, what is your secret? What is your, key to have this successful marriage? Because it cannot be easy to have this career as an NCIS agent. Touch on one or two things that works for you guys to have this beautiful relationship and this successful marriage.
So doing it wrong before forces you to learn from your
You can learn
mistakes.
from it. I love it.
And then I go through a lot of stuff in On Guard of where I had to grow and stop being a human doing and become more of a human being and improve myself as a person and like myself as a person before I could share it with somebody else. So that's what I had to do. And I wasn't even looking when I met her. It's like, okay, we'll go on a date and when I FaceTimed her, she FaceTimed me for the first time. It's like somebody flipped a switch. And I'm like, wow, this person's really interesting. And the minute I met her, I knew she was the one.
Mm.
And I never looked back since. And that's been over 10 years ago now. But she has been such a great helpmate and my biggest cheerleader, that always believes in me and is there to keep helping me move forward. That's it really is inspirational. And then, just with any relationship, one of the toughest lessons I had to learn is everybody seems to think that marriage is 50-50, and it's not. You have to give 100% at times, and the other person's not giving anything, and you have to help them along. And then there's times where you're down and they have to carry the load. So you have to get that out of your mind that, oh, they're not pulling their share or I'm doing this. No, you're going to give it 100%. They're going to give it 100%. And then you've got much more, even if somebody's not pulling their full weight. Um, and that really helps build that relationship. One, you really like and love the person. You enjoy spending time with them, but you're willing to do what it takes to continue that. Now, an interesting thing about Bonnie Joe is she took Touche and turned it into a children's book.
Oh, wow. I love that. Yeah.
So it's interesting because when I first met her, her goal was when she retired from teaching, she wanted to write children's books. At that time, I wasn't even thinking about becoming an author and writing. And I mean, I was busy just trying to make ends meet and get to where I needed it to go. So when I got my book published, I'm like, this could be your opportunity here. So she basically used the same system in Touche to write her book. She illustrated it, sent it to the same publisher that I go through, and it's going to be published. We don't have a release date yet. They'll probably be later this year, but it's really, really awesome what she did. Each book has a portion for the child to write down ideas or draw. It has like a rhyming part to it. And then it has like a little verse part of it explaining the story and the goal setting aspects of it for children. It's actually brilliant. So I'm really proud of her for getting that done.
That's beautiful. I love it. Yeah, what a good idea. Absolutely beautiful. Well, Todd, it's just been wonderful to talk to you. Like such an amazing person, and thank you for everything that you're doing for the country. And one last thought before we end this interview: if you can leave something with the reader, what would it be?
Believe that nothing's impossible. Focus on building a relationship with God and just keep doing the right thing in front of you. The final thing is the only time you lose is when you quit. If you keep striving for what your life purpose is and you get knocked down and you keep getting back up, you haven't lost. You might have got delayed, you might have got banged up, but you're still in the game. The only time you lose is when you finally say, yeah, I quit, and it's gone. And growing up in a tavern, like I said earlier, the second book, On Guard, is filled with some stories where as a child I'm looking at these adults and they're telling me, oh, I had a chance at Major League Baseball, but this incident happened in my life and it didn't come to fruition. Oh, I could have had a chance to play for the Chicago Bears, but this. Oh, my high school sweetheart ran off with somebody else. These people become stuck in their past. They're stuck because they had that one failure, and they're sitting there drinking in a bar, focused on that one loss and not able to let it go, as opposed to what can I learn from this, move on and go find their life purpose. And they're just stuck. So it's my hope that if you can see the miracles God worked in my life, you can have hope He can work miracles in your life and you can get unstuck.
Amen. Amen. So beautiful. Todd, where can people find you and where can they find your books?
Okay, my books are through Karis Publishing. They're available on Amazon, Barnes & Noble, Books A Million, wherever major books are sold. My website is Touche, thestrongestlink.net. It has all the upcoming events. It explains more about Touche, more about On Guard, more about Bonnie's book that's coming out, more about me and her as authors. And it has a way to contact me. I also do speaking engagements to schools, businesses, clubs. And on the 25th of October, I'll be at Barnes & Noble in Orland Park, Illinois. And on 8 November, I'll be at Flourish Books in New Buffalo, Michigan. And the publisher is running a special where you can get the ebook for 99 cents in hopes that people write reviews. And that'll be for like the next week. And then there's going to be a promotional giveaway on Goodreads with the ebook as well for On Guard.
Oh, fantastic. That's amazing. Wow. All right. Awesome. Well, Todd, thank you so much for joining us today. You've been absolutely amazing.
Thank you. I appreciate it.
And that is it from me, Lorna Greyling and M-powerTV. Highly recommend this book. Don't forget to like, share, and subscribe to our episodes. And until next week, goodbye.